garage door. He was inside the garage, and I shooed him away, and I got it all on video. Made a little movie of me shooing it away and it running away. Bear.
Oh, that's cool, man. All right.
Yeah.
What's with you guys? You two are in your wild animal stories.
I know.
It's hilarious. I mean, I talked to Matt about that. That was pretty scary that happened. He was like freaked out. All right, hold on. Matt's calling me. Hold on. You can't get in at all?
Oh, no.
What browser are you using? You should use Chrome. Do you have Chrome? Use Chrome. Close IE and use Chrome. See if you get better results. Are you uploading? But you can upload images to the Prescott, right? Okay, yeah, I think I saw it. So yeah, all right. Well, see if Prescott, if you can get into the Chrome. Let's see what this is. All right, sorry, buddy. Matt's trying to get in, so we're just getting that technical issue worked through so he can bring in his. Sorry, buddy. Oh, Matt's trying to get in, so we're just getting that technical.
Oh, echo.
That was me.
Okay.
My fault.
Okay, I'm going to send you. You won't be able to see it now, I don't think, but it's only 3 minutes. But I'll send it to you for afterward. Me chasing a bear away in my underwear.
That was great.
Oh God, great. All right, Matt, you're in here, right? Yeah, you're here. There it is.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We're live right now, but we're not. I'm just waiting for the countdown clock, so we can start talking, guys, as we get ready here. We're about 6 minutes away from actually starting the official Summer Solstice show on Slooh Space Camera today. We have Matt Francis from Prescott Observatory in Arizona who's providing us these live images of the sun, both in a streamed look that you can see in the Hangout box. Also, we'll be having a live feed going into what we call our viewer, which is on slooh.com. And on the viewer, you can actually snap your own pics with that. We only have one channel today, so there's nothing to channel change on, but we will have a live feed, and it'll be clear. I mean, Matt, is that going to be a close-up view that we're going to have on that?
My live feed will be the wide-angle view of the sun.
All right, cool. And then you'll have the close-up go in the viewer. And then with us, as always, we have the great Slooh friend and editor, also known as Bob Berman, who writes for Astronomy Magazine and is author of many books, including The Sun's Heartbeat. I have to promote the book today because we're doing the sun. And here it is. So, Bob, we always love having you on because you're just a wealth of knowledge, more than anyone I've ever had on the show. Does that make
Thank you? Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And as your reward, I've just sent you a video of my encounter with the bear, which Matt has already seen.
How is your garage door?
Oh, I fixed it. I fixed it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean, he actually smashed a hole in it, and you'll be able to see it, Pat, after the show. Just as maybe a 2-minute video.
You better be careful, Bob. I might put it up on the show. I could do that now. You know. Are you in your underwear? I got to look at this.
No, you can only tell in a moment at the end when I'm trying to turn it off. You see my bare feet walking on the driveway, and you catch like a quarter of a second of the of my thighs, and you can tell I'm wearing a boxer underwear there. Let's see. You can barely see it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I look forward to having fun with it. I might post it up on our Slooh YouTube account just to show, if you don't mind.
It's pretty amazing that the bear of this size, it was like a teenage bear, could get through a hole that's only about, he made about a hole that's about 1 foot square. And you see when he emerges, it's like he shot out of a gun. He comes out of this little hole, and then it seems like he suddenly grows into this much larger bear than the hole would justify. In any case, Matt also here in Arizona has had even a more dangerous close encounter the other day.
Yes. You guys in your wild animal parks, man. I don't have any of that problem, and all I got to worry about are like seagulls might attack me.
That's right. But Matt could have easily been killed because people actually get killed by those mountain lions. And
yeah, I mean those things are.
And this one was stalking him. It was actually following him and stalking him. And when he tried to shoo it away or threw a rock, it didn't leave. So it's that was a really aggressive, hungry one.
Yeah, it was pretty terrifying. I have to say, I'm actually afraid now to walk from my house to my observatory.
Well,
I told Matt he's got to get packing. He's got to get packing now.
That's right. That's right. You may actually have to carry some ordnance.
Yeah, well, that's going to be hard because I saw it while I was mountain biking at night, and I'm afraid probably what would happen with my case, I'd fall down and shoot myself or something.
Shoot yourself. Well, Matt, we got to talk about this story during the show. We're going to start up the official Slooh Space Camera Summer Solstice show in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So, Bob, as we get ready for the event, I think the sun is always. We just did the sun a few weeks ago, obviously, with the Transit of Venus event we did. And, it's great when Matt gets involved because he's got such fantastic equipment out of Arizona that we get some really stellar views. And we're going to be streaming in a live view, as you can see in the Hangout box right now, as well as a image view from the Slooh viewer at T-0. That will flick over into what we call our live mode. The chat box will appear, what we call Slooh Conversation, and you can jump on that and ask questions to Bob or Matt or myself if you'd like. And so Bob, why don't we start out talking about what Summer Solstice is? I mean, for people who don't understand what's actually going on.
What is going to happen 10 minutes from now? During this show, we're going to flick over from spring to summer. During the show, that is 9 minutes after 7 Eastern, 9 minutes after 4 o'clock Western or Pacific time, the solstice will occur. So we're going to talk about what actually is happening at the solstice. Why is this special? Why is this a connection between Earth and the heavens that have been celebrated for thousands of years? Why have cultures, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Mayans, all built pyramids or monuments to mark the exact position of the sun on the solstice? Why was this so important? So this is not just a little trivial little exercise like listening to just one more Romney speech, let's say. This is big stuff. This is serious portentous stuff, and it's all happening during the show. It's actually going to unfold at 9 minutes after 7, and thanks to Matt Francis here, we're going to actually be looking at the sun, watching the sun live, while the solstice takes place. Is this cool or isn't this cool? I think it's cool. Very cool.
I love it.
It's absolutely cool, and we are 20 seconds away on the countdown, at least, for the official show to begin. So I'm looking forward to Matt's first image that he's pulling, but you can also see the live stream coming in. And earlier today, Matt, you pulled out, I don't think, Bob, you saw it, he pulled out an amazing flare, a coronal mass ejection that happened. That was just...
No, I've not seen it yet.
I'll upload that to the server as well. I was just out here practicing in the morning, getting ready for this afternoon's event, and once again I got lucky, and I saw a CME. It was a small CME, but still, it's pretty exciting to actually see it form. I mean, it's funny because I always think, oh, there's something wrong with my equipment. And then I realize immediately, it's like, no, there's not. This is great. I'm really lucky.
Right. So, Bob, here we are. We got, Matt, you got a nice, looks like a close-up of the sun showing a kind of a profile of it. Is that a sunspot right there? Are we seeing sunspots?
There are several sunspots that you're seeing, the biggest one being the one on the limb at around 3 o'clock. And this is actually a wide field view. This is as far away as I can get with my equipment. The pictures that I'm uploading to the Slooh server, which should be in the reticle on the Slooh website, are the close-up views. So the live picture in the viewer here, and let me move it around for you so you can see this is live. I'm slewing the telescope now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, this is
and that's gorgeous. There's a lot of major storms on the sun, and what a great way to celebrate the summer solstice that's coming up 8 minutes from now. The momentous time of the year, celebrated by cultures for thousands of years. We're going to talk about what the solstice means, what's actually happening, and while we're doing it, we're looking at these magnificent live images of the sun. I mean, the solstice actually comes from the old Latin word sol is sun. Solstice means stoppage. So the word solstice means sun stopping. Why is the sun stopping today? And so we'll look at everything to do with the solstice while the solstice is taking place. We're also going to flip over from spring to summer. Right now it's still spring, everybody, but only a few more minutes it's going to be summer.
We're going to be in summerland. You know, Bob, so when it officially clicks over to summer, what exactly is going on? I mean, is it the perception are we getting closer to the sun, or what's going on?
Okay, what's happening is, you know how the Earth is tilted? The Earth's axis is tilted. Every globe ever made in a schoolroom has a tilt to it. So as we go around the sun, we have a tilt, and the tilt never changes. Well, it does change over 41,000 years, but essentially it doesn't really change. Actually, it's 25,780 years. What really happens during the year is that sometimes we're tilted more toward the sun. That is the North Pole. We live in the northern hemisphere, we in the United States. And so when we're tilted toward the sun, that's when the sun is strongest. It's highest in the sky. It's out the most hours of the day. It gets up as high as 70, 75 degrees, depending upon where you live. But when is the moment that we in the northern hemisphere are most facing into the sun? This year it's happening at 7:09 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:09 Pacific Time, 5:09 where Matt Francis is in Arizona, and that is the moment when that occurs, when we have the maximum sun. That is the solstice. We say solstice, the sun stops, because after that the sun stops moving north. According to the Hindus, they believe that the most propitious time, the best time spiritually, the time to make spiritual progress, the best time to meditate and get good results, is during the 6-month period between the winter solstice and the summer solstice. And that period ends in 5 minutes. So you've got 5 minutes to hurry up and meditate. I like that idea. Hurry up and meditate. Hurry up and meditate. You have 5 minutes left to make spiritual progress, and then after that it's all over and you're finished. You blew it.
It sounds like an oxymoron. Hurry up and meditate.
Yes, yes. And so that's the first thing with the solstice, that we are facing into the sun. The northern hemisphere is. We are maximally pointing that way at coming up now in just 5 minutes from now exactly. And we use that occasion to call that the start of summer. That's official. So we're going to all clink our glasses and celebrate the official beginning of summer, which is longer, by the way, than the other seasons. A lot of people would imagine that the two halves of the year are equal. It would make sense as we go around the year. You'd think that the cold half of the year would be the same length as the warm half, but it isn't. We actually get an extra week thrown in. It's very cool. And that's because as Earth scoots around the sun, we move fastest when we're closest to the sun, and believe it or not, we're closest to the sun in early January, and because of that, that time passes sooner. So winter which many people don't like, especially in Michigan or the northern states, that kind of thing, that passes faster and the summer goes more slowly. And how do we even get away with that? How can the calendars hide the fact that there's an extra week in the warm time of the year, the summer that's now coming up in just a couple of minutes, compared to the winter? Why doesn't everybody know this? And the reason is we disguise it two ways. Number one, the shortest month, February, that happens during the cold time. And secondly, we get an extra during the longer season because July and August are both 31-day months. The only time we have 2 in a row. That's because of the jealousy between Julius and Augustus Caesar. They both wanted long months. So what the heck, we gave it to them. And then the third reason is that the September equinox happens later than the other equinoxes. Instead of happening on the 20th or the 21st, this solstice is obviously happening today, June 20th, but the September equinox doesn't happen till the 23rd. So that pushes that off till autumn begins. So the combination of those three things gives us the extra week of the long weather. Isn't that cool?
Wow, it's interesting. So what is
very cool?
So obviously on the other side of the Earth, it's winter, right? I mean, we're seeing winter now in the southern hemisphere. Is that?
That's about to begin. 3 minutes from now, the Australians, all those nice Aussie and Kiwi friends of ours down in the southern hemisphere, they're about to begin their winter. Yep, exactly. So
yeah.
So it's the opposite seasons, obviously. Other things happen, too, in the solstice. You know, the news media are always, you know, we have a short attention span in modern civilization. So they're going to say on the TV weather forecaster news is, hey, it's the start of summer. Fair enough. But all these other things happen, too. We're tilted into the sun. It's the longest day. It's the strongest sun. Also, here's another little-known fact. It's the day when the sun moves through the sky with its curviest path. On the equinoxes, late March and late September, the sun goes through the sky in a laser straight line, just an absolutely straight line from east to west, crosses the sky. Today, the sun moves across the sky curving. It goes up and to the right, curves to the right the whole way, and so part of staying up so many hours, over 15 hours in most of the United States, it takes a curvy path to do it. We're only 2 minutes now from the start of summer, from the summer solstice, as we look at Matt Francis's fabulous solar image from Arizona. And we're seeing a lot of activity on the sun. The sun has gone from blank and quiet in 2008, 2009 to extremely active. We're seeing more and more auroras. We just did a Slooh show from Alaska a couple of months ago in March, and we were watching the Aurora Borealis live from there. We brought you that, and you can see why the auroras are happening. Look at that darn sun. Look at all those storms marked by those streams of sunspots. Well, we're now less than a minute from the start of summer. We didn't bring any champagne, my friends. We didn't bring any glasses to toast the start of summer, but this may be the only place in America, the live website, where it's happening while we watch, where we not only see the solstice and celebrate it at the moment it's happening, but we actually see the sun live that the solstice revolves around.
Hey, Matt, did you just... Oh, sorry to cut you off, Bob. If you're looking at the homepage, did you just capture another flare, or was that from the previous mission?
Nope, I wanted to look. This is the one from this morning. And I wanted to upload that in celebration of the upcoming solstice about to happen. I think that'd be fitting. And I have to tell you guys, it really feels like summer here right now.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. I have 7:09. I think it's do your clocks agree? I think we are at the solstice right now. There's the start of summer. Hooray, a toast to all of our listeners and viewers. May it be a great summer for you. This is the moment now in the Earth's yearly orbit when we are pointing our northern axis most perfectly toward the sun. It's happening at this moment, and that's why we call this the solstice. That's why we call this the start of summer. It's now. It's happened. It's summer. They can't take that away from us.
It's time. It's time to go to the beach, Bob. I gotta go. I'm off to the beach. Sorry, guys. Show's over. So, Matt, are you got any more views coming in shortly, you think, of the sun in the reticle, or how's that coming along with you out there?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll have quite a few more coming in. I just wanted to show this flare because it really well. You can really see the structure of the flare in this picture. All the fine
Right.
fine tendrils coming out of it. So I wanted to put that up real quick, and I will move on to another place in the sun shortly.
Right. Yeah, just for full disclosure, that was actually imaged about 2 hours ago, even though the reticle
Right.
says live. Matt wanted to share it with everyone because it is a fascinating shot. And I would recommend anyone out there, if you're on the homepage of Slooh.com, if you have a Pinterest account, just pin it and send it out to your friends. It's a really cool image that Matt captured a few
And do it
hours
quick
ago.
because it's going to go away in just a couple minutes here.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Bob, let's talk more about the sun in general as we go through this. We all know, having read your book, and it's a great book. If you guys haven't heard about it, it's called The Sun's Heartbeat. You should definitely get it. Bob goes into a lot of interesting stories, and I found one of them fascinating was the whole theory about the lack of vitamin D. Maybe you can share some of that with us, Bob.
Well, there's more and more researchers. There's a thing called the Vitamin D Council, and researchers like John Cannell and other doctors are finding from their work that not only does the public have horribly low levels of vitamin D in our blood, but they can explain it. It's the fact that we're all hiding from the sun. We naturally live in a more sun-averse culture than 100 years ago. We're no longer agrarian. We no longer do agriculture. We're indoors all the time. When we get sun, it's mostly through glass.
Mm-hmm.
That blocks the ultraviolet, which means it blocks the body from making vitamin D. But worse than that, kids now no longer go out after school and play in playgrounds. First there was that fear of sexual predators that made parents make the kids come home right away. Then there was the video game craze, the Nintendo and all the rest. And now it's other computer reasons. Plus, parents are worried about skin cancer, so they're slathering lotion and sunblock on the children. And because of that, the kids are getting almost no ultraviolet, which produces vitamin D. And the levels in our bloodstreams are so tiny, are so low now, that these doctors say that vitamin D is the most potent anti-cancer substance that we could possibly have in our bodies, and we don't have it anymore. So even though skin cancer is a threat if you get sunburns, they're saying that everybody should get far more sunshine than we're getting. That's how nature designed us, to be outdoors in the fresh air and getting sunshine, and just don't burn. That's the advice. Stay out for as long as you can without burning. Now, this is particularly true, of course, if you have red or blonde hair or light-colored eyes. You know who you are. If your skin cannot take too much sunlight, don't burn. But do get far more sun than you're getting, because the sun is our friend more than our enemy. In fact, they estimate that although 8,000 people a year die from melanoma, that still doesn't make the top 10 list of cancer deaths, by the way. They figure that 250,000 people a year are dying from cancers that would have been prevented if only they had the right amount of vitamin D in their bodies. So we've gone too far the other way. And the sun, this is a good day to be talking about this. Pat just brought this up. But in the sun's heartbeat, in that book, we have a whole chapter on it because it's so important. On the solstice, this is a perfect day to be more aware of liking the sun. I don't mean liking in the sense of what is it? Twitter, Facebook. Where do you like things? Facebook. So imagine liking the sun. Yeah, I like the sun.
Well, I felt that was kind of interesting when you talked about the potential connection about the rise in autism in kids. That was pretty interesting take that I've never heard before about what was going on with children and how it could be related to lack of sun in adults. I thought that was an interesting take in that regards as well.
Yes, yes. And they have to be careful. John Cannell said that they caught hell from the parent groups, the autism groups, because they're so focused on, as you know, inoculations and on keeping kids from getting inoculated, they still remain convinced that that's the main cause of autism, even though it's been quite disproven now. But the doctors point out that in places like Sweden, a very cloudy area with low sun angles, autism rates are high. And in Somalia, which is very sunny and where people are still outdoors all the time, autism is practically unknown. And they think that one of the triggers for autism, if you're predisposed to it genetically, is having very low vitamin D in your bodies. And they suggest that all parents let those kids, let those infants, let the toddlers be out in the sun. Just don't slather them with lotion all the time. I mean, don't let them burn. You know, you don't want a kid who's got a fresh white skin to be out for 2 hours the first time. But by the other token, don't just rush them into the house or put lotion on them. Let them get sunshine. It's good for them.
Well, it's interesting. It's a whole different take, because every time I go to my dermatologist, he tells me the exact opposite. You got to put, you know, head to toe suntan lotion on. It's
you have to ask yourself, Pat. Yeah, you just ask yourself, how are we designed by nature? You know, are we designed to be indoors and live in caves and hide from the sun, or was our skin made to be outdoors? How are we designed? And this is what John Cannell, Dr. Cannell, says that I think is very persuasive. He points out that when we're out in the sun for 20 minutes, that is full body exposure, wearing maybe just a bathing suit of good strong sunlight, our skin makes as much vitamin D in those 20 minutes as drinking 200 glasses of milk, the vitamin D in 200 glasses of milk. And he asks, why does the body create so much vitamin D so quickly? Now, nature doesn't do things for no reason. There has to be a reason why we have such high levels manufactured so quickly. And the implied answer, of course, is that we are supposed to have high continued levels, and that what even a lot of doctors think is a normal level of vitamin D is still way too low. These guys all take 5,000 units a day of supplements, but they also believe that the natural sunlight-induced vitamin D has got to be better than the artificial vitamin D. So get both.
Hey, if you happen to be on the Slooh.com homepage, if you go to the Slooh Conversations section, feel free to type any questions for Bob or for Matt, and I'll relay those questions to them for the show. So feel free to come to Slooh.com and ask those questions. So Bob, Matt, what's our next view you're working on right now of the sun?
I'm just uploading it right this second. I just put it into the FTP servers. So this is back with the hydrogen alpha filter color, and you'll see a very nice top view of a CME, or I should say a flare. And there's just a lot of structure going on right now. The sun is, it's beautiful right now. It's so active. There's not a lot going on the limbs, however.
Right.
I'm not catching anything there yet, but I'll keep looking.
Now, what about on the left side? It looks like there's, the way we're facing it, on the left side of the sun, it looks like there's some major object there rotating into view, perhaps?
Yes, let me go over there.
Is that like a white spot? Is that a solar spot, Bob, or what is that?
Yes,
that white area?
Yes, well, the white generally are flares through H-alpha filters, and the flares also often accompany other types of activities. For people who are new with the sun, the main, the little detail you see is granulation on the sun's surface. The black areas are sunspots. That's where the solar magnetism is up to 3,000 times stronger than the rest of the sun. And this magnetism squeezes, chokes, constricts the rising material that's trying to get up from the sun's interior, slows it down, and slower moving stuff is cooler stuff, so that's why the sunspot looks black. But notice they come in groups. In fact, there are whole strings of sunspots through Matt's images that we're seeing right now. And those series of sunspots are places where the magnetic polarity is opposite to each other. So giant streams of plasma go from one area to another, form these great coronal loops, form these prominences that go from one area to another, and it's fascinating to see. Some of this breaks loose, and we now know that a lot of the power from the sun comes from magnetic disconnections that releases not just power, but physical shotgun blasts of material that are blown in our direction at typically 300, 400, 500 miles a second. And when they reach Earth, that's what produces the aurora borealis and interferes with radio communications and all the rest. So we are now, Pat Palucci, Matt Francis, and myself, Bob Berman, we here at Slooh are celebrating live the Summer Solstice, which just began a few minutes ago, looking at live images of the sun and the power and storms that are being released during this unusual period, this active period in the sunspot cycle. In fact, next year, perhaps around next May, but we can never pin it down too exactly, we're expecting the sunspot maximum, the maximum period in the 11-year cycle of the sun. So no wonder we're seeing a lot more storms, a lot more activities happening on the sun. We're also talking about, of course, the solstice. We spoke about a few facts. Let me mention one other solstice fact that I think will be interesting, and that is where the sun is located in the sky during the solstice. Now, until the time of Christ or so, it was happening in the constellation of Cancer, and that's where the sun was located when it was highest. That's why we have the Tropic of Cancer. That line on the Earth represents the place where the sun is overhead when it's highest in the sky. And since it was in the constellation Cancer, we call it the Tropic of Cancer. But around the time of Christ, the sun shifted so that the solstices, the summer solstice, happened in the constellation of Gemini. And that's where it remained from essentially the year 0 until 1989. In 1989, it shifted again into the constellation of Taurus, where it will remain until the 6th millennium. So until the year 5000 and something. That's a long time now. We're going to have 3,000 years with the summer solstice happening against the stars of the constellation Taurus the Bull. Just thought you'd like to know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let me just jump in really quick, guys. You know, part of this, all this celestial programming is actually funded by membership. So if you're on the Slooh.com homepage, please click the membership link and learn more about becoming a member. You actually get to control high-powered observatories in the Canary Islands as part of your membership. And it does help support celestial program that we offer free to the public. We do shows almost weekly on various topics, and a lot of things happen in space all the time. So please always, at the very least, come back. And if you can't afford a membership, please consider a contribution of some amount. We really appreciate it. It does help fund this stuff as we produce these shows. Bob, the chat room's a little active.
Right, and we do other good deeds too. Don't forget to mention we also adopt stray cats, and so we have a number of those for adoption too. Slooh does a lot of charity work like that.
They're all those cats are currently at Bob's house right now. So I shipped them all out there for you, Bob.
We shouldn't say cats. We were talking about this before the show began, but Matt Francis, who's giving us our solar images from the middle of nowhere in Arizona, was actually bike riding 2 days ago when he was stalked at night by a mountain lion that wouldn't even go away when he threw rocks at it. And he was, so he's still with us, but he was almost eaten by a mountain lion. So he almost didn't make it to the solstice.
Yeah, yes. I can laugh about it now because I'm sitting in the comfort and safety of my observatory. But like I was saying, at nighttime, I have to say I'm actually a little concerned now to walk from the observatory to the house. That was
does that mean,
scary thing.
Does that mean we're only going to do solar shows now from your facility?
No, it means I'll be sleeping in the observatory.
Hey, I got some questions out of the chat room I was going to read to you. Some of these are related to you, Matt, and maybe you could summarize it quickly. People are asking what kind of equipment you're using and how far into the sun's atmosphere can the alpha filter see, and what layer of the sun does it view? You know, anything you can kind of summarize on that regard.
Okay, well, the equipment, well, for example, right now, we've switched views in the live viewer here to a close-up view of the sunspot that Bob was referencing earlier. This is has the incredibly imaginative name of sunspot 1504. And this is actually the area of the sun that I was studying today that was very close to this sunspot is where I caught that CME. And so the equipment, the telescope that's imaging this right now is a Lunt Solar Systems, a 152, approximately 6-inch refractor. And the wide field views are also provided by a Lunt Solar Systems telescope. It's a 60-millimeter refractor. I believe we're looking at the photosphere. I'm not sure about how far into it. We're just seeing the surface, the top surface of the photosphere. And I'm going to try to center this up a little better in the viewer here.
And you know, while we're in here, Bob, actually, someone's asking a question for Bob. In the book, it's
there we go.
Could you please? Oh, Bob, they're asking. They want to know the name of your book. It's The Sun's Heartbeat. That was written by Bob Berman. So if you want to learn more about the chapter on the vitamin D and the things that Bob wrote in that book, it's in The Sun's Heartbeat. Here it is. I even have a copy here that's been autographed for me. Bob, I don't know if you want to. Or actually, it's from my dad. Actually, when I got it for him for Christmas. Yeah, but look at that. Look at how nice that was, Bob.
Right. And among the book is also stories about some of the strange, quirky people who have made the discoveries. The fight between Galileo and Rudolf Scheiner, who was a Jesuit priest, and boy, they were at it almost like Woody Allen dialogue. They kept putting each other down, fighting with each other over who was the first to discover sunspots. We have the story of Edward Maunder, who was really the first in a lot of ways, discovered some amazing things about the sun. All these people were quirky, and the human stories are as interesting as some of the sun stories too. But yep, that's it. The sun's heartbeat. And
I totally agree. The human stories, the fight with Galileo, it was the most gentlemanly fight because they were both gentlemen, and the way they, you know. The way they fought with each other, the things they said were so, you know, sophisticated and elegant in a way, you know, compared to now. It wasn't a lot of profanity. I love that.
Hey Bob, really quick, are those lines in the view that we're seeing in the viewer? I don't know if you're looking at that. Those are sunspots that are head on to us, right?
Let me see it close up in the image. Yes, there are streams of sunspots that we're seeing
yeah,
live.
They're like streams. Really cool. They're not like round. They're kind of streams.
Yes.
So sunspots, they don't have to be round. Is my question really?
No. They can especially look foreshortened when they're not exactly in the center, and they often have lines of several sunspots in a row, which gives them a long, streaky appearance. Let's mention a few more things about the solstice, since that's the date today. I want to also point out that although this is the day when the sun is highest in the sky for those of us living in the United States, it's also the day when the sun is lowest in the sky for our people on the equator and in the southern hemisphere. It's when the sun is lowest in the sky. So it's not, we can't just say highest everywhere. Also, it's getting less high over time, and that's because the tilt of our Earth's axis is decreasing. So as time goes on, we're going to find that the height of the sun in the sky at the solstice diminishes and gets less and less and less. Another thing is happening over time as well, and that is the way our calendar works. We have the date of solstices and equinoxes creeping earlier and earlier as each century goes on. Now, those of us who are not kids might recall that the summer solstice was always June 21st. The March equinox was always March 21st. And yet, about 15 years ago, it started happening on March 20th. It never occurs on the 21st anymore. It's always March 20th. And this year, for the first time, we had a solstice on June 20th instead of 21st. I should also say that this is the earliest solstice, the earliest start to summer since 1896. So we just, normally you'd have to wait, it wouldn't be summer yet. It would still be fall at this point while we're having the show, and for a few more hours, this is the earliest summer of our lives, start to summer. I don't know what that means, and whether That means that's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing. Summer is a great time. Bring it on. But it's the earliest summer of our lives. So the way the calendar system works is that these dates creep earlier and earlier as each century goes on. Now, normally, the skipping of the leap year at the end of a century, of each century, brings it back into line and resets it. But because on the year 2000, we did not have that leap year skip. We had a leap year that day. That's, again, another tweak to the calendar that prevented the solstices and equinoxes from resetting themselves. And so they've continued to get earlier and earlier. So the March, going from March 21st to March 20th, and we're going to have equinoxes and even solstices happening on the 19th as the century goes on. And, you know, for people who care about such things, just to let you know the process of what's happening. So the solstices are not just rooted, they're dynamic, they're living, they're interesting processes.
I remember that. It used to be on the 21st when I was actually spent on the 21st most of my life, and I was actually confused today.
So it was actually another reason for us to celebrate today, that we have just experienced the earliest start to summer of our lives. In fact, the earliest start to summer of our parents' lives. It's really a historic event that we've all gathered around. So cheers to all of you, a salute to all of you for all being part of this here at Slooh, because a historic thing has just happened, the very first June 20th solstice.
Someone, Bob, I'm just jumping in on the chat room. Someone's asking about what you mentioned about modern civilization.
In the 1900s, we moved into a manufacturing society, and so we spend our days indoors. But more than that, when on a hot day, we don't open windows anymore. Most of us have air conditioning, and glass blocks vitamin D production because it blocks ultraviolet. So because of that, we're not even making vitamin D through open windows. And then the final straw with all of this is the fear of skin cancer. And as Pat just pointed out, his own dermatologists, and a lot of them, well, they're dermatologists, so that's what they focus on. But remember, of the skin cancer fears, even though there are 1 million cases of skin cancer a year, almost all of them are the harmless kinds. And they're really harmless. They're benign. They don't even spread. And they're easily curable. The doctor just removes it. It's a little waxy thing that you might have on your skin. It's really nothing. Only the melanomas are dangerous. They produce about 8,000 fatalities a year. That's a significant amount, far less than the number of automobile fatalities, which are about 32,000 a year, the last I checked. But 8,000 is something. But they can be prevented, or largely prevented, by just not burning and not going to tanning salons. That's the important thing there. Also, people who are very susceptible are people with a lot of moles on their skin, and of course people with red hair, blonde hair, very light-colored eyes. These people need to not be in the sun as much as the rest of us. But for the rest of us, we should not be hiding from the sun. We're developing into a race of mole people and doing something that nature never planned. And that is staying away from something which is a life-giving, life-sustaining entity, the sun. We grew up, our bodies, our skins grew up to be in harmony and be with the sun. And so that takes up a whole chapter in the sun's heartbeat, talking about that.
So we're about 10 minutes away for the end of the show, guys. I extended it another 15 minutes since we were moving along quite quickly. And so the show will end officially. If you're on the Slooh.com homepage, it will click over in about 10 minutes or so. We may extend the Hangout a little longer since we got some live feeds in there. Matt, are you going to be uploading some more images? I mean, I could extend the show a little bit longer if you guys want.
No, I've got a couple more images I'll upload. I just switched my live view so that I could prove to everyone I'm not turning into a mole person.
No, but what you are is you've just turned into a shaved person, I'm seeing from this image there.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Let's just clean cut.
Hey,
it's hot here.
look at that. He is really clean cut. He looks quite. What do you think, Pat? Do you think he's better with the beard or without it?
I think I like no beard. The no beard. I think he looks clean cut. He looks like he's a man who's maybe single, potentially.
well, he's a nice-looking guy anyway. But I like the beard. I like the beard. I'll vote since you're voting for no beard, I'll vote for.
He looks like one of those guys at NASCAR who's like the pit crew or something. Like he's talking. They kind of communicate to the drivers.
That means I better just switch back.
All right, there's the sun view. There's Matt's beautiful views of the sun for people just joining us. We're in the last 10 minutes here. I'm Bob Berman. That's Matt Francis. This is Pat Palucci. We're at Slooh celebrating the solstice, looking at the many aspects of the solstice, the well-known ones, the little-known ones, and also seeing the sun live, which is extremely active right now. That means it's going to give us auroras, probably. Some of this material is, some of these storms are rotating into view. There's one right on the edge that may come in another week or so to the center, and we'll see if that gives us great displays of the aurora borealis. So let's sum up. This is a day, and I never mentioned this, this is the day that the sun has risen. It already rose, because that was this morning, as far left as it can ever rise, and it's going to set in most of the country right now. The sun has not yet set, but it's going to set as far to the right as it ever sets. That means that places in rooms that never get illuminated in any other time, it's like Indiana Jones kind of thing, where that little item in the center of the temple gets hit by a ray of sun and then weird things happen. Well, places in your room, maybe some socks that you threw on the floor, whatever, is going to get hit by sunlight today around sunset that never gets illuminated at any other time, because we're going to have the sun at an angle. It's going to set more to the right than it sets at any other time of the year. So we had the highest up sun, the strongest sun today. We had the sunrise furthest left, the sun set at its rightmost point. This is all the solstice. We had the axis of Earth pointing, the northern axis pointing most perfectly into the sun. We had the earliest solstice or start of summer that we have had since 1896, a real historic moment, a June 20th instead of June 21st solstice, a very unusual thing, and all of this happening all together. We had that at 7:09 about half an hour ago. We all celebrated it and had a toast with imaginary champagne glasses.
Bob, before we end the show, there's another question here in the chat room I thought we'd try to answer about the sunspots and why they appear black. But it says here, but are the black color a true black color, or does it look like this because of the brightness around it?
That's an excellent question. And the sunspot not be black, but it would be so brilliantly white that it would throw shadows, cast shadows on its own. That's actually an area that's almost as bright as the rest of the sun, but it's just a little less bright, so it looks black to us. It really brings up an interesting point that what we see as black and white is always our eyes, our pupils, plus photochemical changes in our retinas that reset themselves for whatever the ambient lighting is. There's only about a difference of 200-fold between objects that are white and black. I mean, look around you right now in your room or wherever you happen to be. Look at a white object and look at a black object. The only difference between them is that the white object reflects about 200 times more light than the black one does. It's not actually white, and the black one is not actually black. It's just a difference in albedo or reflectivity. And that's why something that only reflects 5% of the light that hits it, like coal, will look black. Something that reflects 90% of the light that hits it, like snow, will always look white. But if you took them in a different environment, they'd be different. In fact, Pat, this is an amazing thing I'm going to tell you and that person who just asked. If you could take a black cat as seen in sunlight, looks black, and you could somehow magically transport it to actually is happening at the solstice? Why is this special? Why is this a connection between Earth and the heavens that have been celebrated for thousands of years? Why have cultures, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Mayans, all built pyramids or monuments to mark the exact position of the sun on the solstice? Why was this so important? So this is not just a little trivial little exercise like listening to just one more Romney speech, let's say. This is big stuff. This is serious portentous stuff, and it's all happening during the show. It's actually going to unfold at 9 minutes after 7, and thanks to Matt Francis here, we're going to actually be looking at the sun, watching the sun live, while the solstice takes place. Is this cool or isn't this cool? I think it's cool. Very cool.
I love it.
It's absolutely cool, and we are 20 seconds away on the countdown, at least for the official show to begin. So I'm looking forward to Matt's first image that he's pulling, but you can also see the live stream coming in. And earlier today, Matt, you pulled out, I don't think, Bob, you saw it, he pulled out an amazing flare, a coronal mass ejection that happened. That was just...
No, I'm not seeing it yet.
I'll upload that to the server as well. I was just out here practicing in the morning, getting ready for this afternoon's event, and once again I got lucky, and I saw a CME. It was a small CME, but still, it's pretty exciting to actually see it form. I mean, it's funny because I always think, oh, there's something wrong with my equipment, and then I realize immediately it's like, no, there's not. This is great. I'm really lucky. Right.
So, Bob, here we are. We got Matt. You got a nice, looks like a close-up of the sun, showing a kind of a profile of it. Is that a sunspot right there? Are we seeing sunspots?
There are several sunspots that you're seeing. The biggest one being the one on the limb at around 3 o'clock.
Garage door. He was inside the garage, and I shooed him away, and I got it all on video. Made a little movie of me shooing it away and it running away. Bear.
Oh, that's cool, man. All right.
Yeah.
What's with you guys? You two are in your wild animal stories.
I know.
It's hilarious. I mean, I talked to Matt about that. That was pretty scary that happened. He was, like, freaked out. All right, hold on. Matt's calling me. Hold on. Can't get in at all?
Oh, no.
What browser are you using? You should use Chrome. Do you have Chrome? Use Chrome, close IE, and use Chrome. See if you get better results. Are you uploading? But you can upload images to the Prescott, right? Okay, yeah, I think I saw it. So yeah, all right. Well, see if Prescott, if you can get into the Chrome.
And this one was stalking him. It was actually following him and stalking him. And when he tried to shoo it away or threw a rock, it didn't leave. So it's that was a really aggressive, hungry one.
Yeah, it was pretty terrifying. I have to say, I'm actually afraid now to walk from my house to my observatory.
Well,
I told Matt he's got to get packing. He's got to get packing now.
That's right. You may actually have to carry some ordnance.
Yeah, well, that's going to be hard because I saw it while I was mountain biking at night, and I'm afraid probably what would happen with my case, I'd fall down and shoot myself or something.
Shoot yourself. Well, Matt, we got to talk about this story during the show. We're going to start up the official Slooh Space Camera Summer Solstice show in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So, Bob, as we get ready for the event, I think the sun is always. We just did the sun a few weeks ago, obviously, with the Transit of Venus event we did. And, it's great when Matt gets involved because he's got such fantastic equipment out of Arizona that we get some really stellar views. And we're going to be streaming in a live view, as you can see in the Hangout box right now, as well as a image view from the Slooh viewer at T-0. That will flick over into what we call our live mode. The chat box will appear, what we call Slooh Conversation, and you can jump on that and ask questions to Bob or Matt or myself if you'd like. And so Bob, why don't we start out talking about what Summer Solstice is? I mean, for people who don't understand what's actually going on.
What is going to happen 10 minutes from now? During this show, we're going to flick over from spring to summer. During the show, that is 9 minutes after 7 Eastern, 9 minutes after 4 o'clock Western or Pacific time, the solstice will occur. So we're going to talk about what.
All right, sorry, buddy. Matt's trying to get in, so we're just getting that technical issue worked through so he can bring in his. Sorry, buddy. Oh, Matt's trying to get in, so we're just getting that technical.
Oh, echo.
That was me.
Okay.
My fault.
Okay, I'm going to send you. You won't be able to see it now, I don't think, but it's only 3 minutes. But I'll send it to you for afterward. Me chasing a bear away in my underwear.
That was great.
Oh God, great. All right, Matt, you're in here, right? Yeah, you're here. There it is.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We're live right now, but we're not. I'm just waiting for the countdown clock so we can start talking, guys, as we get ready here. We're about 6 minutes away from actually starting the official Summer Solstice show on Slooh Space Camera today. We have Matt Francis from Prescott Observatory in Arizona who's providing us these live images of the sun, both in a streamed look that you can see in the Hangout box. Also, we'll be having a live feed going into what we call our viewer, which is on slooh.com. And on the viewer, you can actually snap your own pics with that. We only have one channel today, so there's nothing to channel change on. But we will have a live feed, and it'll be clear. I mean, Matt, is that going to be a close-up view that we're going to have on that?
My live feed will be the wide-angle view of the sun.
All right, cool. And then you'll have the close-up go in the viewer. And then with us, as always, we have the great Slooh friend and editor, also known as Bob Berman, who writes for Astronomy Magazine and is author of many books, including The Sun's Heartbeat. I have to promote the book today because we're doing the sun. And here it is. So, Bob, we always love having you on because you're just a wealth of knowledge, more than anyone I've ever had on the show. Does that make you?
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And as your reward, I've just sent you a video of my encounter with the bear, which Matt has already seen.
How is your garage door?
Oh, I fixed it. I fixed it yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean, he actually smashed a hole in it, and you'll be able to see it, Pat, after the show. Just as
I might,
a 2-minute video.
You better be careful, Bob. I might put it up on the show. I could do that now. Are you in your underwear? I gotta look at this.
No, you can only tell in a moment at the end when I'm trying to turn it off. You see my bare feet walking on the driveway, and you catch like a quarter of a second of my thighs, and you can tell I'm wearing a boxer underwear there. You can barely see it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I look forward to having fun with it. I might post it up on our Slooh YouTube account, just to show, if you don't mind.
It's pretty amazing that the bear of this size, it was like a teenage bear, could get through a hole that's only he made about a hole that's about 1 foot square. And you see when he emerges, it's like he shot out of a gun. He comes out of this little hole, and then it seems like he suddenly grows into this much larger bear than the whole would justify. In any case, Matt also here in Arizona has had a even a more dangerous close encounter the other day.
Yes. You guys in your wild animal parks, man. I don't have any of that problem, and all I got to worry about are like seagulls might attack me.
That's right. But Matt could have easily been killed because people actually get killed by those mountain lions. And
yeah, I mean those things are